In the heart of downtown Casper, Wyoming, stands the old Rialto Theatre. Its aging facade still echoes the charm of a bygone era. Opened in 1921, it has long been a place of joy, laughter, and drama. Yet beneath its vintage elegance, whispers of something far darker linger in the minds of those who work there, whispers of a presence that refuses to leave. The theatre's many ghost stories have been passed down for generations, but no tale is as chilling as the one of the woman in white. It was a quiet evening in early autumn, and the Rialto was nearly empty. A lone projectionist, a young man named Jake, was finishing up for the night. The last film had ended hours ago, and the theatre was unusually still. He locked the projector room and headed down the long staircase toward the lobby, where a faint breeze chilled the air, despite the windows being tightly shut. As Jake descended, something caught his eye, a human-like figure moving towards the back of the auditorium. Startled, he peered into the dimly lit room. There, in the back row, sat a woman dressed in a flowing white gown, her hair a cascade of dark curls. At first, Jake thought she was a guest who had somehow stayed behind after the last show, but there was something off about her stillness. She didn't move or look his way. She just sat staring at the blank screen. "Ma'am, the theatre's closed," Jake called out, his voice trembling slightly. The woman remained unmoving and silent. Jake's footsteps echoed as he approached her, but as he drew closer, the figure slowly stood and began to glide toward the exit. He followed, trying to catch up, but the closer he got, the faster she seemed to move. Finally, she disappeared around the corner, leaving nothing but the scent of old perfume lingering in the air. When Jake reached the lobby, the woman was gone. The doors remained locked, and there was no sign of her anywhere. Confused and unnerved, he brushed it off as a trick of the mind, or so he thought. Over the following weeks, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone in the theatre. Objects would move on their own, props misplaced, curtains swaying in the absence of wind, and the sound of soft footsteps echoing through the empty aisles of seats. Soon, the other staff began to talk. "Have you seen her?" one of the ushers hesitantly asked. "Seen who?" Jake replied. "You know, the woman in white," the usher stated nervously. "She's been here for years. Some say she was an actress who died on stage. Others think she was a patron who had an accident during a show, but no one knows for sure. Whoever she was, she's never left." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The description matched the woman he'd seen that night, pale, silent, and dressed in white. One evening, the theatre hosted a special showing of an old silent film. The theatre was packed, filled with patrons eager for a night of nostalgia. As the film began, Jake found himself drawn once more to the back of the auditorium. There, in the same seat, sat the woman in white, her eyes locked on the screen. This time, Jake felt a surge of courage. He moved closer, determined to confront her. But as he approached, the temperature around him plummeted. The lights and screen flickered. Suddenly, the projector jammed and the film stopped, plunging the theatre into darkness. In the eerie silence, a soft, sobbing sound filled the room. It wasn't coming from the audience, it was coming from the back row. Jake turned to see a woman dressed in white standing alone, her pale face streaked with ghostly tears. "Who are you?" Jake whispered, his voice barely audible. The woman's gaze turned toward him, her eyes filled with sorrow. She took a step forward, her form shimmering in the dim light. Then, without a word, she vanished into the darkness, leaving behind nothing but the faint scent of her perfume. The lights flickered back on, the film resumed, and the audience, oblivious to the ghostly encounter, continued watching. Jake left his job at the Rialto Theatre not long after that night. But he would never forget the White Lady. She still haunts the theatre, appearing to those who dare to glance too long into the shadows of the back row. Some say she waits for something, or someone, her unfinished business keeping her tied to the theatre for eternity. Others believe she is simply a lost soul, forever watching the films that play out before her, a tragic figure caught between the world of the living and the dead. The woman in white of the Rialto remains one of Casper's most enduring ghost stories. Her presence a reminder that even in the most beautiful of places, There can be something mysterious and unsettling lurking just beyond the reach of your senses.
If you ever find yourself at the Rialto Theater, take a moment to look behind you. And if you smell the scent of old perfume or feel a sudden chill, you just might catch a glimpse of the ghostly woman in white, still waiting for her final curtain call.